Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video on Gran Turismo 7. We're back with a daily race C at this week's race. It's Suzuka Group 3. I'm starting from pole position. It's quite a decent lobby we've got in this race, and we've got Fento. Some of you might have seen him going from the back of the grid, Mild Cheese, who has probably been the fastest or one of the fastest drivers at this combination this week. Now, unfortunately, the recorded footage directly didn't save properly, but we did have the replay footage, so you won't have doubters on in this race. But the race is all here, and we're going to run through it and show you what an incredible race this was. Now, if you do enjoy this race, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're currently chasing 75,000 subscribers before the end of the year. It's going to be awfully close if we get near that or not, I don't know, but it would be a massive help if you took a few seconds to hit that subscribe. And hopefully we can help you out in terms of race pace and other things on the game, and track guides that we very often do to help you with pace around different combinations. But you can see straight away in this race, we have managed to get a bit of a gap to the cars behind straight away. Now, the advantage of that is obviously when you've got cold tyres and no dirty air, you do have that initial half a lap advantage where you just get a little bit more grip in the corners. When you're the car behind, you might have slipstream for the straights, but in the corners that is not going to be a help, especially when you've got cold tyres. So that's why you've probably seen a lot of the time this week on that initial half of a lap on the start, the lead car tends to pull away a little bit because they've got that clean air advantage, and it definitely shows in this one again. You can see a little bit of a gap there to P2, and it's just given me a bit of a cushion that I can just push on and drive my own race from here. Now, this was one of the first races of the day, I think, when we were jumping on a live stream. It was one of the earlier races, so we were just trying to drive this fairly consistent. We had done a few races the day before with this Mercedes, and for me, the Mercedes was the better car. It was a hard one to call because there's so many different cars that had pretty good potential for race pace laps, like McLaren, definitely a very good car over the race pace. Porsche had really good pace over one lap. Tyres seemed to be a little bit of an issue with the Porsche though. Mercedes, for me, just felt consistent and able to ride some of the curbs that were causing me issues with the McLaren. I do think that maybe the McLaren, with a bit of practice, could have quite easily have matched this Mercedes though. But we're racing this Mercedes, and you can see at the moment we're just taking it quite calm. When you're in the lead of a race, at this stage of the race, we know that Fento, Mild Cheese, was racing from the back of the grid, so there was no urgency at this point of the race. It was just a case of keep it on the track. You don't want to make mistakes at this combination because it's Suzuka, and we all know that Suzuka, if you make one little error on a curb or anything, you're just going to end up sliding off and going off into the gravel, or ruining your race, because it's very easy to make that mistake. You can see on lap 5 here, we've got a little bit of a gap to P2. He's managing to hang in though reasonably well there. We're doing okay pace, nothing amazing at the moment, 59.1, 59.3. It's been a bit average so far at the start of this race, but like I said, we're in the lead. We don't need to overdrive it. We don't need to be going for like stupidly fast laps. However, we do notice now, if you look on the left-hand side, we have Mild Cheese, Fento. He's done the fastest lap of the race, and he is also already up to P5, and we're only on lap 5 of the race with 15 to go. Now, that is obviously a little bit of a concern, because as we look in the mirror, we can actually see him every now and then appear. So he's probably only about 5 or 6 seconds behind us at this stage, if that. And we know what crazy pace he's been doing here this week, and it only takes a couple of little traffic or anything like that with the pit stop phase, and he's going to be right behind us. So this race is going to be very, very interesting. I recommend you watch this one to the very last lap. Unbelievable racing. Probably, in my opinion, one of the most intense races I've had on Gran Turismo 7. It has to be up there as one of the most intense races that I've ever experienced on this game. But you can see this lap so far, it's going reasonable. Lap 5 again, you can see the gap. We're maintaining that gap to the car behind, and this is the thing. I feel like there's more potential for us to go faster, but when we've got a gap that we're maintaining pretty solid to the car behind, there's no point risking too much at this phase and going for constant 58 laps. There is definitely potential for me to get 158s quite consistently on the first stint, but there wasn't really a need to do it when we've got the gap quite nicely to the car behind. You can see as we go through here, we're actually on a decent-ish lap this time. 37.5 through that sector should give us a 58, but this last chicane is one of them chicanes you've got to be very careful on. You've got to brake as late as you can. Brake too late and you just miss the apex massively, and then you don't get the exit speed. We do it nice and safe there. We didn't take too many risks on that chicane, and we're going to go over the line on lap 5 there with a 58.9. so yeah, not a bad lap there. I think on that lap we could see that Fento was starting to push through and decided to push a bit, but again, we're going to push through to lap 9 now. You can see the pace dropped off a little bit there, obviously a little bit of tyre wear, and obviously just playing it pretty safe. You can see we've got that gap to P2. We're not having to worry too much. But one thing you can see here on lap 9 is Fento is in P3. And you can actually see he's not far behind P2. So this is going to lead to a pretty intense last 10 laps of this race. You can see he's right behind us. He's only about 1.2, 1.5 seconds behind us as we go into the pits here, and he's going to go into the pits as well on lap 9. And now this is going to be incredibly interesting. We're just going to change tyres. We've been doing fuel saving, so we've got the right amount of fuel to go out. And as we come out of the pits here, you can see one of the back markers who have not pitted yet gets past us, and we can see there Rory on the left just about to get ahead of him. That was vital that we got ahead of him. He hasn't changed tyres yet, so he's at the back. We're in a bit of a different race here, so now we just need to get up to speed, which isn't as easy as you think, because when you've come from a different set of tyres, you put a fresh set of tyres on, they're a little bit cold out the pits, and the grip is slightly different because the balance of the car changes with the lower fuel. So it just takes you a half a lap to get warmed up, and then we've just got to try and chase after P3, who's in front of us there, who obviously still needs to pit. So at the moment we are in P1 technically in this race. All the cars ahead of us, they all need to make a pit stop and, you know, change their tyres. So we're not too worried about fighting with these too much. We just got to play this safe. Obviously we're getting a little bit of dirty air from the car in front, but we don't want to be chasing him down and harassing him and trying to get an overtake done, because there's not really much point. We might as well just wait for him to get in the pits. We can see that we've got Max in P6 there, who's putting a lot of pressure on Rory behind us. We've also got Mild Cheese, who's not far off at all at the moment. At the moment, Fento has probably lost out half a second or so. However, as we come through Spoon Corner here, you're going to see I make a little bit of a mistake. I get this corner pretty spot on. We go down second gear, we get it rotated in, but then as I get on the throttle, we get a massive understeer moment. I run all the way up the curb, and luckily for me, that did not end up in a barrier, because I've seen that end in the shadow realm many times this week from myself and from other drivers, but luckily not this time. So get away with that, into 130R, and now hopefully the car in front is going to make a pit stop. But as we come into the braking phase here, we look behind us, and Rory there, not too sure what went on. He looks like he got onto the grass, nearly goes straight into the back of me. Luckily misses us, and just, yeah, he's off. Thankfully doesn't hit the back of my car. I think he got onto the grass, makes a mistake there, and we're still in that P1. So you can look behind now, and we can see that Fento is going to go for a move into the braking zone. It actually looks like Max almost gives this position up there. You can see as we go into the turn 1, he almost just doesn't fight it, and now we got Fento behind us, and I was actually concentrating too much on the mirror that I ran wide into that corner. So we've now got Fento right behind us. So not a great lap at all there for the out lap at the start of lap 1. We've probably lost about 1 to maybe 1.5 seconds with the mistakes that we've made there. So far not brilliant at all, but now this is going to be the hardest 9 laps I think I've ever had to drive, or maybe 10 laps, sorry, I've ever had to drive on this game, because we've got Fento, possibly the quickest driver at this combination. It's arguably the quickest driver. There'll be other drivers that could probably have been just as quick, but they were going from the back of the grid and maybe not racing in the same race. But yeah, his pace in clean air was extreme this week in that Mercedes. It was unbelievable. It was relentless pace, and we've now got to try and hold him off for a full 10 laps. So this is going to get rather interesting. Can we do it? It's possible, because Suzuka is not an easy track to overtake, but Fento definitely had, for raw pace, probably about half second to 6/10 of advantage every lap over us. I know I can do 58.4s and 5s because we've done them in the races. The day before we did this race, we were doing it in clean air. But when you've got a car that's putting under your pressure, we're not going to do them lap times now, because we're going to have, as you can see here, we're defensive driving. Fento's going to have a look down the right side. This is going to compromise my entry, and it's obviously going to make Fento brake a little bit early. So as we go in, we chuck it over the curb, Fento has to go wide, and we're going to lose a bit of time there. So all this is just losing us lap time. It's actually going to help some of the cars further back for like P3 and 4 are going to start gaining up as we're fighting at the front. As you can see, we're going to go over the line here, and we should be in the 58 on this lap with fresh tyres. And you're going to see we're into the 2 minutes where we've been battling a little bit there, lost a bit of time, and now we need to focus and start picking up some pace. But again, it's not easy when you've got Fento putting you under so much pressure. You can see into turn 1, luckily here he's not in a position to go for an overtake, so we just take our normal racing line. And now we know through this section there's not much he can do. He's not going to really be able to overtake us through this section, so just run our own line through here. Don't overdrive it. We don't want to make a mistake, so we don't want to be pushing for insane lap times at this phase really. What we want to do is just make sure our exits are good, not overdriving it, just concentrate on the exits, again making sure we hit the apex there, and then we can get on the power nice and early, just so we can't get a run on us into any of the corners, again into the Degner corners here. Now this is one of the trickiest corners on the track for me, hitting the curb into 4th gear and then down to 2nd gear, then back up to 3rd gear. Actually did that quite nicely. You can see I actually really hooked it up on that lap. That's how I should be doing it every single lap, and we actually keep the gap pretty static to Fento there, and then into the braking zone for this tight hairpin, back up to 2nd gear, and again you can see we've got pretty decent gap here now. We're maintaining it on this so far, so this is all very good at the moment. He's not really gaining on us. We've not had to go too defensive. This is what we need to. This is what we need for most laps. However, it's not going to end up like that. As you can see, into spoon corner, trying to make sure we hit that apex. Not using the full width of the track there. Down to 2nd gear, then back up to 3rd. Trying to get on that power. The rear starts to snap there as we put the power down. And now Fento is going to have the run going into 130R. You can see he's got that slipstream, but he's going to go for a different way. He's going to actually bump draft us here. Now that is very clever, because you might be thinking, why would you do that? Because he wants to stay close through 130R and then maybe go for an opportunity here. If he can't go for an opportunity here, what he's going to focus on is trying to get a good exit out of the last chicane here. So what I knew 100% what I need to do is get a really good exit here, because that's what he's trying to do, and I managed that really well. You can see he has a little bit of a moment. You can see the effect of being in the slipstream. He tries to put the power down, the rear starts to snap a bit, and he doesn't get close enough. So again, we've managed to survive that lap, and now we're going to start another lap. You can see going into turn 1, he's not going to have the ability to go for a move there. So again, I can just run a fairly normal line, make sure we get it rotated in. Do go a little bit deep there. That's going to give him the line on the outside of the track. But we know an overtake from that position is almost impossible. And you can see Fento decides to back out of that quite sensibly, because it's very unlikely you're going to make a move work from that position. So again, through this first sector, it's just about keeping him behind, take our normal line now, and just make sure we get some good exits from these corners. You can see Fento getting very close and staying very close. And you can see, luckily for us at the moment, we're maintaining the gap to P3 and 4. Obviously, we're losing time with this battle at the moment. You see it in the lap times. They're nothing special. You can see how we're having to drive as well with some of the defensive driving we're doing. And as we come through here again, trying to get that exit, was a little bit hesitant on the throttle, but luckily for us, Fento makes a little bit of a mistake and runs a little bit wide there, and that gives us the ability to not have to defend too aggressively into this corner. But again, on the entry to the corner, he manages to gain a bit of time, but again, we should be okay going into spoon corner. Shouldn't have to defend this. We should be able to maintain a normal racing line as we go into spoon. So again, you can see he's not close enough for a move. We don't have to go defensive. And then into the braking zone, we're just going to take our normal line, use the curb, down to 2nd gear for a bit of rotation, then back up to 3rd gear as we put the power down. And we actually pick up quite a good exit on this lap, which means, again, we're not going to have to go defensive again into 130R. So this is what it's all about, making sure the exits are solid. It doesn't matter if your overall race pace is not massively flying at this stage, just trying to get the exit sorted. You can see we're not too far off pace considering the pressure we're under here. Only 2 tenths off lap time pace, and then into the braking zone again here, just trying to make sure we get that right hand tyre over the curb so we can get to 2nd gear and get the power down on the exit, which we managed to do. And again, we've managed to get a better exit, and you can see again Fento's not really going to be in the position to go for a move now into turn 1. So far we've held him off quite nicely, and it's actually working okay. The pace not brilliant. We've done 2 laps of 59.0. We should be going quicker than that, but it's not as easy when you're putting under pressure and you're having to take slightly defensive lines. Again, into turn 1, just making sure I hold that inside line so there's no opportunity for him to go for a little move. And again, we're going to fast forward through it, because it is literally impossible to overtake at Suzuka through this section. It's a no-go. You're not going to make a move through there. But this corner is my weakness at the moment. You can see I run a little bit wide, and we actually have a little snap on the rear. You can see Fento actually hooks that up perfectly there. And now, going into the braking zone, we're side by side. I managed to hold the inside. We go a little bit deep, but we managed to get on the throttle almost perfectly as we put the power down. Now again, it's another side-by-side battle. We just about managed to get our car ahead because we're on the inside. We got a really good exit with putting the power down, and now we can go defensive into spoon corner. So Fento's now going to go to the other side and try and go around the outside. Again, we're side-by-side. Absolutely incredible racing on this daily race. Just look at this. This is why I love Gran Turismo so much. For races like this intensity is unrivaled. I find it hard to get this on other games. It's just amazing. Again, Fento in our slip, again, he's going to give us a little bump there because he knows he doesn't really want to go for a move into this corner because he's too far back. He's going to try and get the exit off this corner or the exit off the last chicane. But luckily for us, we get a much better run through there. and now into the final chicane. Just try and get ourselves a good exit. Take a bit of curb there, a bit too much curb. You can see the rear actually went slightly loose, and he's now going to be going for us into turn 1. You can see I know straight away that I have to defend. There's no point making it a chance for him to go for a move on the inside. So we're going to stay to the right hand side, let him go to the left, and now from this position we're going to brake early, hold a tight line because he's going to try and get an undercut down into the apex and then get on that throttle. And again, we've managed to hold on for another lap. So skipping ahead now to the end of lap 15, and you can see here we managed to do a reasonable lap this time. You see he's putting on under quite a bit of pressure there on the chicane, but we managed to hook up that lap not too badly. You can see as we go over the line we're back into the 58, so even being put under pressure we're managing to do 58 still, and still having to drive rather defensive. But you see here we've got enough of a gap not to defend turn 1 this time, so I can take a normal line. I don't have to take that tight line like we did on the previous lap. And again, Fento just relentless with this attack on us. So far I was actually shocked that we've managed to hold him off for this amount of time, but I will say it's partly because of the track. If this would have been a track with more of an overtaking opportunity, I don't think we'd have been able to hold him off this long. And again, that dodgy Degner corner there where he's going to get the run, he's going to go down the outside, and again we're going to have to try and hold that inside and then get on that power in second gear and get it down to defend now into the spoon corner. You can see we're going to go over to the left to make him go slightly wider, and then as we're going to come into the spoon corner, I'm going to go back over to the left hand side now to cover the inside. He's going to go to the right, and again, will it be a side by side? I'm going to brake early here because I know that his option here is to try and get an undercut down the inside, and you can see we managed to keep the power down and still get the rotation and hold the line for his spoon corner. So this is just absolutely brilliant, and this was possibly one of the most intense experiences I've had so far on Gran Turismo 7. I'll tell you now, wasn't feeling 100%, still not feeling 100% now in myself. I had a bit of illness, and in this race we were sweating. We were absolutely soaked because of this, how intense this was. It was brilliant stuff. Again, into the braking zone, he has a little look there. We've got the inside covered. He's gone a bit deep there. That's going to give me slightly better exit off the chicane. You can see that straight away. Look at the gap develop there, and that's going to give me a little bit of a gap all the way around. Now you can see we didn't really have to defend the turn 1, but however, again, Degner corner there didn't get it right. He's going to get the run on us again, so I'm going to have to go defensive on the left. Really need to sort that corner out. We're getting that. I think when we're in clean air and we're not putting under pressure, it's a lot easier to get that corner right. But when you know you're being put under pressure by one of the fastest on the game, it's very difficult to get that right every time. But luckily, got away with it again there, and he's not able to go for a move. Will he be able to go for a look up the inside into the spoon corner? No, he's not close enough again. I think he's going to play this a little bit smarter again. He's going to wait for the straight and maybe try and get a slip on this straight or go for a move into the final corner. However, he gets a little moment. You can see it again. Unfortunate moment on the rear as he puts the power down. He has got the slipstream though, but again, will he have enough of a draft to get past us? It doesn't look like he has. We've got the inside. He's going to probably brake early and try and go underneath us, but I managed to get the power down quite nicely there and maintain this P1 still. So again, survived another lap. This is absolutely incredible. One of the best daily races I think I might have had on GT7. Even though we haven't changed positions, the defensive driving and the intensity of this, we're losing pace every lap. You can see the cars behind are actually getting closer to us because we're fighting so aggressively, but we're fighting and still maintaining enough of a pace to make sure it's not getting too close. Again, into turn 1, we managed to hold that inside line and keep Fento behind us, but you can see in the mirror, we've probably lost 4, maybe 3, 4, 5 seconds, who knows. It's definitely quite a lot. You can see the last 2 laps, 59.7s, went from 58.8 to basically losing a second a lap just on 2 laps there with the defensive drive, and this is getting pretty intense now. Fento's going to really get aggressive. We're into the last few laps. We've got 2 laps to go in this daily race C. Can I manage to hold on to this lead? If I manage to hold on to this, it would definitely be unexpected, because I didn't think it would be possible as we went in the pits and came out with him just 1.5 seconds or whatever it was behind us. So again, first sector, not really much he can do, but he is incredibly close through here. You can see again though, he's losing a little bit as we put the power down, because he just can't, with that little bit of understeer you get in the slipstream, he just can't put that power down early enough. And again, he has a little look up the inside here. You can see he's getting thinking about that move there, I think, for maybe the last lap, but we do manage to get the power down quite nicely and build the gap up slightly. Now you can see we've got a reasonable gap now as we go into the Degner corners and then into that corner that I struggle on in general, I've been all right on this second, the Degner here. However, when I've been under pressure, I think I've just been scared. You can see again, nervous that the rear is going to lose. And again, we get away with that, but it is going to give him the run on the outside again, into this corner again, just defend the inside, take it tight, then get on the power when I know the power's ready to be put down. And again, perfect defending there. There's not really much you can do. It's a really difficult track to overtake on, and this is the thing. If you defend correctly at this track, you can make it very, very difficult for someone to overtake you, as long as you just take the correct lines into these corners. And make sure you brake with enough time to slow the car down and get on the throttle nice and early. So again, through spoon corner, exit important, a little bit of oversteer on the exit there, but we should be okay, although he has got a really good slipstream. You see, this is almost perfect slipstream. He's going to have a little look to the right. Will he be able to get alongside us? It's going to be very, very close. You can see as he gets a bit of a lag spike there and jumps forward, but we managed to hold on to that position again and into the chicane. And again, he's a little bit dropped back there. It looks like he turned in a little bit too early over the curb, and now it's all about going into turn one. This is one of the last overtaking opportunities he is going to have. Will he have the ability to get him moved on going into turn one? He's a little bit too far back there though. I think we've managed to get a pretty good exit, and you can see I've gone to the left because I don't think I need to defend it. He's going to have a look up the inside. We're going to half defend that, just give ourselves a decent line into the corner, and then again you can see I slow it down, not using the full width of the track. So again, not worried about race pace at this phase. This is all about just taking lines that are going to make it difficult for him to overtake. I don't care if we're a second a lap off pace, half a second lap pace. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we keep this P1, and at the moment we're managing that. You can see he gets a massive exit off that corner, and this is a corner that I knew he would have a little thought about going for. You can see he goes wide. It's very difficult to do though. We managed to get a good exit and entry into the corner, and yeah, we've managed to build that gap back up. So from here now, all we have to do is make sure we get some good exits off these corners and into decking the corners. We can see reasonable entry, and now this corner, can we get it right finally? And you can see I actually managed to hook it up for a change on the final lap, not giving him the ability to go for a move on the outside. And now all I've got to do is just get into this braking zone and get on the throttle. So again, onto that throttle nice and early. Again, good exit off the corner, and he's not going to be close enough. And you can see by the time we come to the final corner of the race, he's just not close enough into the chicane and over the line for one of the hardest earned wins I think I've ever had on a daily race in Gran Turismo 7. But these longer races have really been enjoyable. It's been a different type of driving. You haven't had to go flat out. Like for example, this race was more about defensive driving. We kept the pace enough to, you know, not worry about other cars in the race, but we were not doing our maximum pace. It was all about holding that P1. And what a race with Fento. Make sure we give massive credit to Fento for that race, because that wouldn't happen with every driver. Probably would have ended up in a barrier with some of them. But yeah, Fento, 100% clean. Brilliant driving. Absolutely love that one. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments what you think of this week's Daily Race C. I'll see you soon, everyone. Bye.